You're tuning into this show because it's called Visualize and Create, which means that you understand that in order for you to create what you visualize, there's some things that needs to happen in between. I'm so excited that you're tuning in today, whether you're listening or watching. Welcome to another great episode of the Visualize and Create video podcast. Let's get started. You are listening on your favorite podcast provider, or perhaps watching this show on your big TV screen. Regardless, I'm excited to have you. My name is Martine Cadet, and I am the host of the Visualize and Create show. You will be able to meet amazing individuals that are going to inspire you, motivate you, and give you the tools for you to visualize and create whatever it is that you want. Make sure you check out the show notes and share this with a friend. Welcome to another episode of the Visualize and Create video podcast. My name is Martine Cadet. I am your host. If this is your first time meeting me, I'm so excited that you tuned in because I promise you, by the end of this episode, if you have yet to follow this show, I hope that you will. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. Sit back and relax because this episode is going to be amazing. I work every single day to make sure that I curate amazing purpose-driven individuals all over the globe to come on and help you create what you are visualizing and perhaps crying yourself to sleep at night. We don't want that. We want you to achieve what you're visualizing. And so I'm going to stop talking because my guest has so much to share with you. And I'm super excited that she's here. Jess, welcome to the show.
Hi, Martine. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I feel so honored to be here with you today, and we've already been vibing back and forth, so it's going to be a great conversation.
I love it. And for you watching, are you noticing how the pattern of what we're wearing kind of goes together? We did not have a call or anything like that in regards to what to wear. And so for you listening only and not watching, you need to make sure that you download the app or check us out on YouTube so you could see this, right? I love it. I just had to bring it up, me with
Totally unplanned. So fun.
I love it. And so, Jess, tell us a little bit about who you are, introduce yourself, and then we'll dive into the conversation on how you personally have been able to create what you visualize. And I'd love to dive into your expertise before we close this episode and share with the audience the beautiful things that you're sharing with us in the show notes. And so, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to share. So I am a certified emotional freedom techniques practitioner. So we'll get into a little bit more about what that is later. But I support spiritual entrepreneurs in overcoming limiting beliefs, fears, and imposter syndrome. And this work has meant so much to me because I have had my own experiences with imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough, worrying about my clients and my business. And a lot of that comes from, beliefs of not being good enough, right? So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. So I've been an entrepreneur for 3 years now. I started in the career coaching space, coming out of a corporate career. I did, similar to you, Martine, had a full corporate career. I worked in recruiting at a tech company, and then decided that I really wanted to help people on a deeper level. So my first business was in career coaching, helping people with the job search process. And from there, I got really inspired by mindset work as an entrepreneur, just recognizing how important that is to the success of our business. If our mindset isn't in alignment with our vision, right? Like you're talking about visualizing, if our mindset isn't aligned with that, it's going to be really hard to get there. So I got really fascinated with that concept. And that kind of circles us back to the work that I do today with entrepreneurs. It's really deep mindset work that I support them with.
Oh, so powerful. I love it. And you are absolutely right, Jess. This mindset is so important. I'll tell you quickly a story of mine. Really, to put this into context, I remember having to work on my mindset when I was at my 9 to 5 and just dragging myself in the office and thinking, oh, this is so bad. And it took me a couple of years to change that mindset to listen, this is an added bonus for you, Martine. This job is your silent investor to what you want to do. And just telling myself this every single day, literally, really made me look at my business building differently. It's not easy. It's very, very, very hard to change that mindset. And so I would love to know from you, Jess, what is one or the two, or maybe perhaps three things that most people come to you with and when they say, I need to work with you. This is what's blocking me. What are those blocks that you often hear? And if you don't mind sharing some of the things that you suggest that one should take action on.
Yeah. So you are familiar, and I'm sure all of the listeners are familiar as well, being an entrepreneur. It's an up and a down and an up and a down and all over the place, right? Energetically, emotionally, mentally. It's a big journey, and a lot of fears come up along the way. I think especially when you are an employee somewhere, it's not so much responsibility on yourself, but being an entrepreneur, especially at the beginning, if you're the only one in your business, if something goes wrong, there's no one to blame except for yourself, right? So I think that entrepreneurship is really a deep personal development journey for each of us. So people will come to me and do work with me on things like fears that come up in their business. So to give you a couple examples would be having a hard time speaking about their program pricing. I have a client who feels greedy every time she brings up that money conversation, right? It's really uncomfortable for her. Comparison is another one. So this kind of ties into aspects of imposter syndrome would be a big one. Comparing yourself to other entrepreneurs. What are they doing? Should I be doing what they're doing? Why am I not as far as they are? Why isn't my business producing in the way that I want it to? Right? It could be fear of being on camera, right? Being seen, putting themselves out there. Maybe they're like, I don't know what content to create. So for me, I don't work with the strategic piece. I wouldn't strategically help people with content. I would more so help people with the inner piece of this work, feeling safe to be seen, feeling a lot of it comes back to safety, safe to talk about money, right? To share those program prices, to feel confident and grounded in the work that you're doing, or even feeling that you offer value. That was a big one for me on my journey, was doubting the value that I offered to, yeah, right, to my career coaching clients. So we can get into a little story time about that too if you want. But really, I help people shift their inner world, which then when we shift internally, that produces different results in our external tangible world around us.
So good. Yeah, because it's so important. And I love that you're still tuned in, listening, whether you're doing the laundry, washing the dishes, walking your dog on the treadmill. Listen, you're still here. And Jess and I love that. That means that you are invested in this conversation. Perhaps you're, putting your hands up in the air and saying, yes, that is me. Preach. This is who I am today. And I'm bringing this up only to share with you. Jess mentioned she was there. And let me tell you, I was there. Okay. And as a social media content strategist myself, I totally get this whole thing of you watching other people on social and like, why not me? But we're here to tell you it is possible for you too. But that work needs to happen. That emotional work needs to happen. And so here's the question for you, Jess. How would you address someone right now that's like, okay, Jess, I get it. Like, I have spent over $20,000 on myself. I have posted content all day, every day, and I'm just ready to give up because I feel like I don't have it in me. The market's saturated. I will never be able to create what I'm visualizing. Enough is enough. I'm gonna call it quits. This is not for me.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's a lot of emotions here. Obviously, there's a lot of mindset work that needs to happen. For
Yeah.
someone like that that's thinking like that right now, Jess, obviously there's a lot more that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But what would you say to that person right now?
Yeah. So in the work that I do, this is the emotional freedom techniques piece. It is a mind body modality that supports us in shifting our limiting beliefs and our fears. So for someone who has this energy of giving up, right? Like you kind of stated a lot of limiting beliefs even just in that depiction, right? Of like, this isn't going to work. I'm not as good as everyone else. Why isn't this happening for me, right? It's going to take so long. I think that's a common belief, like the things are taking too long, right? I'm not where I should be. So what we do in emotional freedom techniques, the work that I do, we start in the present. So identifying what are some of those limiting beliefs, right? What are the beliefs that are not supporting you, and start to look at that. We then move to the past. So we have picked up beliefs oftentimes from our childhood, right? So I'll give you, we'll use a money example quick, right? So if you in your childhood had parents that said, oh, I hate when these salespeople come to our house. I hate when they call. They're so awful. They're so sleazy, right? I can't believe they're asking me for money. If you are picking up that language as a kid, right? Or even an adult, right? We pick up things our whole way through. You can start building that belief that it's bad to talk about money. Salespeople are sleazy, right? This is going to make people uncomfortable. And so you have carried that belief with you, and that could be part of your present day issue of like, it's not working. So it really comes down to the what beliefs are not serving you. Let's figure out where they came from and how it's affecting you today, and then shift those beliefs. Right? This comes back to the visualization piece. How are you supposed to get to your vision if you're over here committed to the story of it's not going to work? I can't do it. Right? So in the example, if you've got this money belief, right, we need to get rid of those beliefs that salespeople are sleazy, that this is uncomfortable, that this is a bad thing to be doing, so that you can show up on sales calls and say, hey, I've got this amazing product that I can offer you. I've got this amazing service. I'm going to take over your content. We're going to make it so beautiful. It's going to be X, Y, and Z, right? Whatever you do. So with the tapping, how it works, we actually, emotional freedom techniques is also called tapping. I haven't mentioned that yet. We actually tap on pressure points in our body, and this helps us rewire our brains. So it helps us smooth out that fear response so that it doesn't come up in your present day, so that you can move forward with confidence, right? Feeling grounded, with belief that your vision is going to actualize instead of all the negativity. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I have a story about that. I remember not being aligned and in peace, as you share that you do help others with, on my very first sales call. And this person on the other line said to me, not for nothing, Martine, but you sounded script. And I was completely like devastated because I'm like, she's right. That's because I was spitting out things that I was not emotionally, internally at peace with. I
Right.
did not work on my mindset and my belief. And so, for you watching and listening, I truly believe, at least from my own experience, and I remember working through this with my coach, and I skipped the mindset part of the program to go into let's create the program, how much it's going to
Yeah.
be. I completely skipped it. And she's like, there you go. This is why you skipped it. It's so important. And
Yeah.
obviously, we have limited time on this episode. And I'm sure at this point, you're realizing, you know what? I need to do this work. If you're at a space that you're feeling stuck and want to give up, or you want to scale and you're feeling like there's no way for me to go to 6 to 7 figures, for example, mindset work is a consistent thing. It's something that, right, you constantly have to work on because,
Yeah.
right, your life requires a different version of you every step of the way. And so I love what you do. I believe that it is absolutely important in the process. And listen, this is not just for business, am I right, Jess? If it's in
Right.
every aspect of life, right? What would you say to
Absolutely.
that?
Yeah. So I like to think about the work that I do as coming home to yourself. And what I mean by that is validating yourself, trusting yourself. For me, it's not abandoning myself, right? And so we oftentimes try to get that validation outside of ourselves, right? We try to find it in other places. But when we can find it internally first, that not only impacts our business, as you said, right, but it extrapolates out to the rest of our life. So for me, I have been a people pleaser up until now, right? And it is such a gift to care less what people think of me. I show up so much more powerful when I'm not worried about, oh my God, what's Martine going to think of me? And what are her clients going to think of me and her listeners, right? Because then you get in that anxiety spiral. So when you can show up from that place of soothing yourself, I can show up powerfully on this call. I can show up powerfully in relationship with my mom. I can show up powerfully other places that I'm interacting in the world, building personal relationships with people, handling personal situations. When you have created that ability to come home to yourself, you're unstoppable in the world, right? No one can bring you down at that point when you know that you will be there for you.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. It's so good. And it's so true. It's in every level, at work, you're trying to get that promotion,
Mhm.
right? But you're like, I'm not worthy of it.
Mhm.
It's that mindset work. And we're
Mhm.
both in business, Jess and I. But again, I want to bring this home that for you listening or watching, this may be resonating to a friend of yours or to your partner. And we want to invite you to have them tune into this episode. And we also want to invite you to check the show notes. And, if you don't know, I'm an adjunct professor and I give homework every single episode. And so my homework is to make sure that you not only check the show notes, but you also connect with Jess, right? You connect with Jess, let her know that you saw this, you listened to this episode. I just recently got an email from one of the listeners of this show in regards to another episode. I love getting those messages. And so reach out. And how do we connect with you, Jess, if we want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so my main social media platform is Facebook. I have a Facebook group. It's called Mindset for Business Magic. If you type that into Facebook, you should be able to find me in the group section. And then everyone's welcome to email me. It's just jess@jesssmithcoaching.com.
I love that. And I love that you shared your email, Jess. Thank you so much because the reality is not everyone is on social media or have been on social and left. And so I appreciate you opening the space by providing your email address so that listeners can connect with you and work with you. And listen, for
Absolutely.
you watching and listening, you got this. Jess and I, she shared with you her journey. It's a process. Hence why we're excited to have conversations like this on this show. And I am so excited that you came on, Jess. And I welcome you anytime back to the show. And I truly enjoyed speaking to you and reminding me. Right. Because I have to tell you, every time I have a guest, I'm like, check mark, check mark. It's like, it helps me too to check in on my mindset. And so definitely appreciate you. And before we end the episode, what is the last thing you would like to share with the audience when it comes to their process of visualizing and create? What do you want to leave them off with?
I would say get curious. Get curious about what is my vision first, right? Because we have to identify it to move towards it. What is my vision? And then get curious about what's stopping me from being there right now. What beliefs am I holding that are preventing me from being that person? What beliefs will I embody when I am in the middle of that vision, right? And if you can switch over into the beliefs of that person in your vision, that is going to get you there so much faster.
I have goosebumps. This is beautiful. So true. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. My heart is racing. My body's like little, because it's so true. And hence why I call this show Visualize and Create. Exactly what you just shared is exactly what I started doing from the start till today. And so I appreciate you
Beautiful.
so much for sharing your expertise, Jess. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And so this is the end. And if you are watching us on YouTube or perhaps on the web app, leave us a comment, leave us a like. And again, I want to encourage you. If your gut is saying, oh my gosh, this is really resonating with me, don't hesitate and reach out because at the end of the day, you cannot do this by yourself. Okay. This is why Jess and I wake up every single day to serve you. And
Absolutely.
so we're ready to help you, and Jess is ready to help you. So check the show notes. That's your homework. Share this with a friend, shoot us an email, and I look forward to seeing you back in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you, Martine.
You have just listened or watched the Visualize and Create show. Don't forget to download our app and make sure to leave us a review. And before I go, I do want you to visit my website, martinecadet.com. Browse around. There's a lot of stuff in there. I have a store. I also have great services available for you so that you can visualize and create anything that you want. I will see you in the next episode.